Step one is that we don't take a step. So often when I became vegan, I was running out and I thought the world was, going to end unless everybody became vegan because I was zealous and ready to go. And so often when we have these aha moments that racism still exists or something still is going on, we have this sense of responsibility that it's on us to fix, and it is much of that on us to fix. But we don't have any of the tools or knowledge of what that looks like and what something different looks like. And so as we're running out, it's time to say, whoa, let's learn something and maybe even unlearn some of the things that we've learned. What led folks to develop a system of racism? And that's what it is, right? It's a system. Capitalism is a system, socialism is a system, communism, well, racism is a system. And so what led us to develop that? What could have been the sparking emotions behind that? And as I started to look at where the natural resources are in the world, they're mostly populated in areas populated by people with darker skin than us. And where we found ourselves in these northern regions with a less melanated skin, and I keep repeating that term because when I hear the word white, it makes it seem like we were painted something and someone else was painted another color. And when you start to think that you have less of something than someone else, it's hard to make you feel superior if we develop this white supremacy sort of mentality. And I wanted us to untangle some of those emotions behind that. They speak of people being willing to share because in an abundance, and recognizing that there's an abundance, there's not the need for competition. There's more than enough, and it's a natural process to share. So we came in, and even though we recognized it, having not healed ourselves, I feel like we came in and we brought that same scarcity mentality that made us see them as a competition and not as another human being that we could have a relationship with. And hence, we developed a term called race. Race sounds like a competition to me. Dr. Claude Anderson taught us that the idea of race was that European countries were racing to dominate and colonize the world. And so this idea of competition is so ingrained in us that even as we start to look at how we heal the climate, one of the great proponents of climate is the guy named Tom Steyer, who ran for president, and one of his first tweets was, "Great, now we can compete for who does the best in healing the climate. Now America can be the leader in changing that." And I started thinking, why do we have to do that? That's not changing the way we need to change to heal. As I went through that second step, it was to really acknowledge that harm. We have anti-Black racism that's prominent, and that's at the heart of what I'm hoping that we can heal. But also, we have a cultural practices that are just harmful to us all, that doesn't have anything to do with the fact that we have white skin or less melanin in our skin. And I call one of those practices playing God, right? We have manipulated certain things in our life, right? We manipulated an atom so that we could come up with nuclear weapons. We manipulated food so that we could come up with ways to make them fit into an economy. Life already works. We didn't have to do anything other than participate in that. And indigenous cultures know that around the world. It's not that they weren't able to develop guns. It's that they didn't want to as much as we did. That it wasn't a fit for a humane world that has an abundance and willing to share. Leads to step 3 for me, which is to let that go. If we can learn to let go of our desire to control, if we can learn to let go of our desire for our privileges and learn to let go of the fear that we're facing as we're letting those other two go, then we can open ourselves up to something beautiful. But if we're scared and we're holding on to this control, then we don't have room to acknowledge step 4, which is that other cultures are valuable as well, if we can appreciate those values, going back to the financial term, if we can appreciate the value of other cultures instead of depreciate their value in our society, then healing them through an act of reparations actually has value to it. It's not just a cost. So if we're looking at healing the harms of our ways through reparations, and we look at what is it going to cost us, well, it's going to keep costing us more if we don't associate a value to that makes us feel good about the costs associated with that. And could we even see the value of our own role in our own healing in that process? A mentor of mine told me if somebody was walking across the cross street right there, crosswalk, doing everything legally, and a car came and intentionally ran them over, there would probably be really severe injuries, right? Let's imagine your back, your legs, your knee. We're going to need your surgical help. We don't see that happening and go, could you get out of the way? The rest of us have to go. Could you please move? We didn't do that harm to you. Move out of the way. There's a healing process that goes into the injuries that are caused to that individual. When athletes are injured, that same type of healing process goes on, and it may include at times rest, and it may include setbacks, and it may include all these different things, but there's a part of it that we could all benefit from, because the people that do the job of the EMT, when they save a life, they get to benefit as well. It's not just the life that they saved. The doctors, I know, I live with one. She benefits from the process of being a part of the healing process for somebody. So when I start to think of what is racist, well, I operate in a racist system. I went to St. Louis U. I'm a Billiken. I went to U City High. I'm a Lion. I'm a racist. But if I want to be not racist, then I have to build something different. And that means also participating differently. I don't have to be the leader as a white man of privilege. Even though it was mine to cause, that my folks caused a lot of the harm, it doesn't mean that I have to be in the leadership position. That service position is so valuable and is so meaningful. And we want others to be in that, and we value them when they're in that service position. Me moving into a place of servitude and learning from another culture on how to be connected is valuable to me. And that's what I wanted to share with you all today.